More importantly, a lot to talk about with draft here, so 11.6, Viego is still banned, and I know people are coming in from different regions saying, hey, this has got to be better than G2 versus Rogue. We hope so, and probably know so as well, as we get into game number 1. A bit of BM to start us off, Lyric. I thought that'd be a great way to start our cast off for tonight, as we're already getting those bans. Take it away.
I'm just going to say that was a great series. I have no idea what you're talking about, but we already see some Do&B specific bans coming out, right? That Renekton very much, I'd say, targeted at the flex potential that FPX bring. The champions that we're still looking at, I think the highest priority would be the Udyr that is left open. I would expect EDG to go for that one on first pick. Followed by that, you know, the Kai'Sa, Tristana, Jinx, this kind of like trinity of AD carries that are left open. FPX will get the first choice of that if EDG do decide to lock in their jungle here like we expect.
Yeah, let's find out. I like that you mentioned the Hecarim straight away here. JJ's been a big Udyr player, one of his most played champions of the split, and still in the LPL. Remember, we haven't changed patches, so that's what you got to hover or at least think about. 5 seconds to find out here for EDG, with the Lilia already banned away on their side, and there it is. The Bear Man thing. Hungry man who's been in the wilderness for a while is going to be the first pick. Well, you talked about the 80 carries, at least the bottom lane for FPX.
That's the thing is, here I definitely think you can take the Rel for Crisp. Crisp has been one of the best Rels in the world. And then you have a choice, right? Do you have a priority on one of those 80 carries? Do you maybe want to take away the Tristana, which we've seen LWX come to favor? Or do you just want to pick up your jungle now, not show anything, pick into the enemy 80 carry and take away the Volibear? Because that has been the next in line for Tien when it comes to jungle picks. The only other option I could see is if they want to pull out the Nocturne and use that as a flex pick between all three of the top side.
Because this has been really big, especially in regions like LEC, right? We saw the Nocturne over the weekend as the Volibear you mentioned earlier, though. So going back to what's known and something that Kai'Sa and Tien have been playing quite a lot of. So we get the jungle there, Lyric, but that means bottom lane is left open.
And yeah, you know, just highlighting the Volibear again, it goes to FPX's playstyle so well of this early game skirmishing coming out. Really strong level 1 and 2 if he finds that Udyr can win in that skirmish, especially if they can guarantee some soul lane prio like they should. We see EDG lock in the Rakan. We've seen this one coming out more and more against the Rel. Again, you're able to disrupt the crash down with your W. You have a very easy time of being able to get out of harm's way with your E as well. He's a lot more of a follow-up engage rather than a pure engager, so we'd like to see more hard engage coming in for the side of EDG.
Okay, we'll keep our eyes peeled. That means something maybe potentially for Flandres he's done in the past. As for FPX, they lock in that Kai'Sa yet again, so a lot of diving already built up here for FPX while they're getting rid of some of those flex picks for themselves. And no solo laners for both these teams is worth noting too.
And now we want to see where FPX go with their mid laner, right? Because we expect a counter pick to come out for Nuggery on 5. When FPX traditionally do have to blind pick, they have really liked going towards the Victor. It's obviously a historic Do&B champion. That and the Rise are what he really built his name on, going back to those days of the QG Reapers. So maybe seeing something like that wouldn't be too surprising, but you already have a lot of mobility out on the side of EDG, so that one could be a bit rough. The Sylas, also another option, but the fact that they banned out the Twisted Fate shows they're not going for the Sylas.
Nah, because otherwise you just match into it, right? One of the priority picks, or at least the interesting picks to watch that we mentioned just before coming into this game number 1 of drafts. So with Sylas left open, let's see if it is even going to be the case without the Twisted Fate you already talked about. Corki actually banned away. From someone like Do&B, it's not someone I expect to just see a Corki matchup picked up, but who knows what's going on in scrims.
Yeah, and you know, maybe it probably signals that Scout is going to go for that Azir pick, but I'm with you. I actually don't think that Do&B would pick the Corki into the Azir. I mean, they were going to blind pick mid on 4 no matter what anyway, because again, they have Nuggery on the roster. They do go back to ending up picking the Victor that we expected. Again, it has been Do&B's go-to blind pick all split long. It's pretty decent against Udyr, a champion who does just want to run into, and you can provide all that zone control of trying to shut him down with your W and your ultimate. But again, EDG have drafted a lot of mobility in their other roles. I wouldn't be surprised to see this Gragas come out as a blind pick for Flandre. It also provides disruption, which is pretty decent against that Victor pick as well.
And I guess you were looking for a little bit more engage, right? That adds it as a Kiana. Ooh. Oh, man. I told you it was going to be better than any other series we've seen. We start with a banger. We start with a Kiana, most likely in the mid lane.
That's the thing, is Scout has been playing this champion quite a bit in the mid lane, so I definitely expect it to go towards that role for him. It's a very volatile champion to play, though. Yeah. If you fall behind, it can be quite hard. Doinby should be able to maybe get some pressure in this laning phase, but shouldn't really have that solo kill pressure unless he is able to bring Tien around. We also do have Nuguri going towards this set. So for the side of FPX, they are opting into this full-on 5v5 front-to-back team fight. I love it. They have 3 tanks followed by the consistent damage coming out from both Kai'Sa and Victor, also both providing a bit of burst as well. For the side of EDG, it's going to be way more interesting. They have the opportunity to play out through side lanes later on with the Qiyana, try to bring her in on the collapse, and look for these flanks onto the back line of FPX.
It's such a bold pick to bring out in the series that will define whether you're good enough to make it to the grand final. EDG confident after beating down top esports. FPX the same though. Let's remember that we're seeing Nuguri in the top lane with the set. This has been, I guess, less popular in that specific lane. I think the pick overall hasn't been seen as much. And it's definitely a great way to start game number 1 for picks and bans. As coaches bow heads, and this is what we wanted, Lyric. EDG and FPX, they're vying for that grand final spot. The opportunity to go to MSI. And we start with the juiciest of drafts.
That's the thing I love, right? They're coming out the gates swinging, especially on the side of EDG. They want to try and eke out those small advantages of catching FPX off guard since game 1. Again, I'm not quite sure how the Qiyana's going to do. It's going to be really rough unless she's able to find those flanks. Let's remember, Kai'Sa has an ability to reposition and get out of harm's way. So it feels like your only real target is Doinby.
It's Qiyana in the game, ladies and gentlemen, to start off this series. EDG versus FPX, our upper bracket semi-final. The winner of this to go to the grand final. It's been 1,083 days for EDG and 583 for FPX. Let's see who makes it. It is old versus the new, ladies and gentlemen, as we enter Summoner's Rift. The gyros, I'm sure, can be heard, at least behind us. And as we enter, already with some exciting hits in draft, we get an electrocute Qiyana Lyric with Ignite. Doinby's like, man, exhaust? I want to survive this lane, and I would just want to farm up.
I mean, the thing is, I actually think he should have a fine time in the early laning phase. One also cool small bit of information, a scout always does this where he starts longsword first, tries to get that early about 4-minute recall off for the serrated Dirk and make his way to an early Prowler's Claw. But in this lane, Qiyana's not really much of a champion at level 1. Victor is incredibly strong at level 1 with that Q. That is why he's able to just walk up, place that ward down as well. For Scout, we're looking at that he has to pair a lot more up with Jeje, find some ganks mid, get this Qiyana rolling, because if not, in isolated laning phases, Victor's pretty strong.
Yep.
Qiyana's not going to have the opportunity until level 3 to look for any kinds of aggressive trades, and it's really about that level 6 mark, right? Being able to find a nice supreme display of talent, lock him down, and find that kill pressure.
And, you know, early lethality items, if we do get past that mythic, remember things like Yomu's Ghostblade. We've even seen Qiyana's, I guess, within the solo queue environment, pick up something like mobility boots, but Ionian's too powerful right now, so we'll have to find out what the decision is there. It makes sense for EDG when Jeje has been all about duoing with Scout a lot of this year, Lyric.
That's the thing, right? And not even just Jeje. Mako typically does a good job of finding his ways into the mid lane as well. Doinby will be constantly pushing, so he will be putting himself in harm's way. We need to see FPX get some nice defensive vision down for him. Well, we've seen the bot side, LWX and Crisp, able to come off to a strong start. They hit that level 2 first. Tien started towards the top side and is pathing down. And it seems like they're starting off early on to try and shut down Viper and Mako in that bot lane, because that has traditionally been their strong lane all split.
I just love that early ward placed, I believe, by Doinby towards the Raptor camp. You see it spotted out Jeje. And therefore, LWX and Chris feeling confident in that bottom lane. While Nuguri's doing the same up in this top lane, we haven't really seen set into the big fat man known as Gragas. Already building up a CS lead, and FPX doing that across the map.
I mean, the thing is, right, it's pretty much a tank versus tank matchup. Sure, Flandre is going to build the AP route most likely, as we always see. But Nuguri's going to build tank stats. He's going to be able to ignore the damage. He's going to win extended trades. He wins at level 1 because of his Q and his passive being able to come out, so Flandre did respect. But after that, Flandre should be able to start trying to push, whittle him down a little bit with the Q. But when you have Set's passive, that really isn't going to be enough. So I like what FPX did in draft. Strong bot lane, strong topside matchup, and Doinby on a comfort pick.
We have to track junglers a little bit closer then and see how their pathing affects these laners. There's a deep ward placed by JJ while he's backing away. Actually backing on Vision too, so they know that junglers are backing, while Tien is going to get a bit of a silent recall then after he gets bottom side scuttle. It is a scuttle for scuttle trade here in game number 1. And we'll have to track them a little bit closer, Lyric, as Tien's back out on the map as well. What would you like to see?
It is League of Full Clears. We know exactly what to expect. They both full clear towards their, I guess not really strong side of the map for JJ. Starts bottom side, goes up towards top side, which is pretty common. Now we might actually see Tien look to influence his top side matchup early on, actually just putting down a control ward. But yeah, this wave is going to crash into Nuggery. Tien potentially could just do Krugs and then look to set up a gank himself.
Great little face breaker. Now the body slam's used, but the wave crashing into 2 minions. Flandre still hovering around. Tien, level 4 here, going to add a lot of damage with the Sky Splitter. While JJ once again going towards bottom side jungle. And the push out here from Doomby. He's got no mana, and JJ knows this, so gives Scout a bit of a reprieve, and Doomby plays it safe.
And let's also remember that Doomby didn't take TP, right? He took Exhaust, like you highlighted, so not going to just be able to TP back on this wave and force this under tower. Luckily, it is mid lane, right? So you're not really going to be as punished as you would be in top lane, where freezes and things like this can be really harmful.
Yeah.
He's going to have to walk back to lane, already bringing out the Seeker's arm guard as well to get some early armor. We saw on Scout side, indexing into 3 longswords we highlighted. Going to get to that Prowler's Claw as quickly as he can.
Almost full build there, Lyric. That's a great start for Scout. He's almost level 6, though, the level that you told me to watch for. With that supreme display of talent, we remember Kiana's adding so much impact, and I guess I want to talk to you a little bit more about the comps while we are in this lulling early game, and past the 6 point, what EDG do at one item, what we should be expecting, maybe more specifically around these early objectives.
The thing is, they're going to want to continuously look for pressure from mid once we hit the mid game, like they're doing now, because even though Scout won't have push pressure, he'll always have kill pressure if jungle is hovering around. They are going to feel pretty good in those mid jungle 2v2s. Doinby isn't online yet. Again, his first purchase is already defensive stats coming out. Rakan's coming around as well.
Yeah, between the wave, there's the stun. They have immovable CC as the flash away from Doomby. He'll survive. Mako comes in to try and save the day as Tien, Angry Bear, ready for Scout, who has no ultimate. He travels with the 3 of them, and now the damage should be immense on his side. He has to flash himself after Ignite's placed down. And wow, Tien did not want to go on that journey.
That's the thing, right? Honestly, Doinby did a good job reading that situation. He was already backing off, because I feel like had Mako been able to get there, they probably would have been able to find that kill on Doinby. It started out being a trade for summoners, but luckily with Tien trying to come and save the day, ends up with multiple members blasting plant into each other, that EDG end up slightly ahead in the trade.
They do. We're double summoner down for mid.
Hysterics.
Doomby doesn't have one either. Yes.
Also, we see that, Doinby had to back. Looks like Scout's pushing in the wave, so even more gold and EXP lost on the side of FPX.
You're right. That's a 10 CS lead. Scout will be back in perfect timing, and he should be able to get the lethality as well. There you can see Serrated Dirk with the other longsword built into 2. Tier actually just picked up for Doomby, but you mentioned the wave loss, so it should be about half an EXP diff here in the mid lane. And Scout going to be leading by 10 CS. I think that's a very important note to see how that can go further with EDG's early gank.
And, right, it's a good thing that they realize that this is where they're going to get their pressure from, right? They're going to consistently play around this Kiana. Buys lethality, as you highlighted, very strong in the mid game. You're going to look to turn those skirmishes and those ganks into objectives. It's not really about the top side. Nuggery's just chilling up there. He's doing fine. Even in the bot lane, I feel like LWX and Crisp are fine unless EDG are able to force some kind of 4-man gank onto the bottom lane. For Tien, it's about looking through those side lanes. Sure, you can hover mid. You can try to enable Scout as a bit of trading coming on bot side.
Yeah, hurt a little bit there, Lyric, but nothing to worry about. Viper and Mako should have a bit of sustain with the Gleaming Quill out of Mako's Rakan. But it does mean that FPX pushed them far enough off for Tien to start this early Dragon.
And this is one big difference to FPX from Top Esports, is that TS put almost no priority on Dragons, especially early Dragons. They have the highest Rift Herald percent in the league, but when it comes to Dragons, they are towards the bottom. FPX, very much about stacking these early neutrals on both sides of the map. Use your bot prio, get an early Drake, roam Crisp up towards top side, look to take a Herald. Very rinse and repeat from FPX. So I like that they keep their eyes on the future. They keep their eyes on the goal.
Does mean, though, EDG in the 3 games they've played in playoff, Lyric don't get the first Dragon this time around, so stats ruined a little bit there. Well, JJ will just respond with the Herald up in the top side, and when we have this Kiana, this does feel like an objective that you say worth if you're EDG to get this snowball rolling.
And that's the thing is, when we look at the map right now, EDG haven't been able to knock down turret plates in any lane. And when you are playing this melee assassin like Kiana into a ton of wave clear coming out from the Victor, it would always be nice if you are able to utilize that one down in mid. You probably won't be able to break a turret down there. It would take probably the second Rift Herald to be able to enable that and push that further. The problem for EDG is it's going to be quite tough to find a window or a timing where they're able to rotate numerous members mid.
Yeah, I guess that's going to be up to people like Mako, who have already talked about linking up with the mid lane then. So Herald picked up in the end. The response was the Dragon. Junglers coming back out onto the Rift. But across the lanes, just notice that those CS leads for FPX have changed a little bit due to mid, but bot is still there. Top is still there by 10 CS. Tien, however, is down a bit of CS after JJ was able to force out his flash and force him to back away. So jungle and mid right now, a very good, strong point for EDG's early game.
And that's the thing, right, is right now we're looking at summoners being about to come up on both sides. Scout very close to his flash. Tien and Doinbees won't be too far behind. It'd be really nice if EDG were able to open up another window to punish mid right now before that comes up. So they're getting control of bot side vision. Maybe set up another gank, another roam from Crisp, as they're looking to do already.
No more sleeping as a flash. Chilling Smite. Doinbee in trouble there. Scout's ultimate again. It was a supreme display of talent as he jumps back in with the help of Mako, who picks up first blood, and Tien doesn't have anything but his ultimate as he burns that to get away. Chris comes in for the re-engage, forces the flash out of Scout, and Nugri's joined in, but EDG, it's a welcoming party as he gets out over the wall, but Mako with 2 kills, Lyric. The support of EDG blows up the early game.
And this is going completely counter to our expectations.
Oh, but 1v1! LWX versus Viper! He flashes away, but Viper gets it! And that's how LPL start our games.
And EDG coming out with a completely dominant early game. We highlighted the stats from our last matchup, right? EDG were the team that were struggling a bit more early in the laning phase. FPX were the team that were rolling over, starting all of this constant aggression. EDG flipping the switch. I love how they've been playing in playoffs so far, because let's remember, even in their last series, they were fighting toe-to-toe. They were looking for high kills as well. And it's going to be a massive start for the side of EDG. They have this mid lane advantage that's going to be able to ramp up. Bot lane as well. Sure, the gold's going to be on Crisp, so it's not as meaningful, but we've seen how much they've been doing as we go into the replay. They go for the expected play once again. Crisp finds the window after they push in the wave, comes out with the ultimate. Doinbee was smited in supreme display of talented, so he gets locked down. Crisp coming in from behind to try to find the pick, and it leaves Nuguri kind of out alone in the open to where he's able to be taken down by the members of EDG.
Now let's look at the 1v1 that we missed. It started by Viper, and LWX thought he could outplay it in the end.
Yeah, he goes in with the ultimate, thinks he can win. We see both heals come out, does have to flash into that other brush, try to play off the fact that Viper might not have vision, does still end up going down to Viper in the end. Still not really an item differential in the bot lane as we look right now.
Yeah.
We see Pickaxe, Noon Quiver, actually an agility cloak for Viper, so he's a bit... Actually, no, it's exactly the same because of the serrated dirt. So yeah, Hysterics, what am I saying? Items completely even.
I know why you're expecting to see Viper with a bit of lead after the kill, but it's also cool to note that LWX with the push in before was able to get a bit of turret plating, so it feels like that's going to be a big difference, or at least an equalizing fact. A small little skill shot there from Nuguri, misses with a face breaker. And we come back to a Rift now where EDG have 2 mythic items 40 seconds before the Dragon Lyric. And I feel like the setup here is going to be a lot easier with Scout in an advantageous position with a lot of gap close now to enable on this comp.
And they already have their mythics, right? Turbo Chem Tank already built on JJ. We already see Scout picking up the Prowler's Claw that we highlighted, so they're doing exactly what they should be. He's always going to lean in through mid because of the respect that Doinbee has to play in this matchup now. They're going to get vision in the bot side jungle. And again, in about 10 seconds when that Dragon is up, I expect them to make a play. In response, Nuguri has already roamed down because he does not have TP. It is a good thing that he does have pressure and prio in topside to be able to make this play, though.
We know that Set is just strong for the word go as well. So FPX start up the Dragon. EDG saying, forget it, we'll lose this one as well. So FPX will start the objective game a little bit earlier and builds with the tempo that we talk about from this team and building towards the neutral objective that is going to be the Ocean Soul in 2 Dragons' time if they get there.
And the big thing for me is it seems like Viper wanted to recall to get his Kraken Slayer, so now they can force this advantage in the bot lane even more. Because, right, they probably could have contested that Dragon. They were strong. They had 2 members with Mythics on their side, no Mythics on the opposing side. But instead, just going to try and push this spot lane advantage harder. They do have a tempo lead now, as we see that FPX members need to recall. Crisp's going for his right now. And EDG are just going to keep hammering home through this bottom side jungle and putting continuous pressure on the side of Doinb.
I do love that JJ is pinging down now with the 2-0 Rakan. LWX thinking, hey, something's fishy here, Crisp. I need backup.
No flash.
Mako drops the ward, and here we go. The quickness comes down with a bit of sickness onto LWX. You knew he was dead, chat. 4-0 for EDG with a 3k gold lead, just about.
And the side of EDG are just making this look so easy. More minions denied, more EXP and gold denied to LWX. Viper is going to be really close to being able to take down this bot lane turret as well. He's going to be able to push in for free. I like that EDG are rotating the rest of their members towards the mid and top half of the map. So if FPX did want to look for a counterplay on that side, they're not able to. EDG already have multiple members around, and pings are already coming out on the Rift Herald for EDG.
Really smart macro, right? This is what we've talked about with this team as they get the first Heart Blood in the bottom side to Viper. FPX drop a ward. Backing away is Crisp for now as Tien's clearing his camps, but just hovering nearby. No one looking at dead in the eye for now, Lyric, and we'll see if after Viper and Mako help push out mid, if that's going to be the decision, or at least give Viper some more turret gold. Yeah, FPX are going to clear the way, make sure that doesn't happen.
I think realistically they are able to look for this. I think Flandre is sitting on a bit of standing gold, though, if he does want to back, and should be able to pick up his Night Harvester that we would expect. But for the side of FPX, it just feels like they're kind of flushed for options, right? Because your only true advantage is in your top lane, but there isn't too much kill pressure on that side of the map. It looks like they are going to consciously decide to give up Rift Herald and try to get some gold onto LWX, get him back into the game. We see vision control coming down on bot side and multiple members hovering. Ooh, actually, Hysterics, we have an Everfrost on Flandre.
We do. I mean, I believe we saw this from EU last night as well here on a support option with Senna for the Gragas. So, haven't seen it on the top lane in the Gragas for now. But Flandre bringing it out, man. Remember when he was on Snake with SOFM, those two were 2 peas in a pod. So it makes a lot of sense that Flandre is going to be showing us this Everfrost Gragas.
Yeah, like you said, this is the first one we have in LPL playoffs. We've had Night Harvester and Shirelias already. I like the interesting play coming out from Flandre. So again, looking for more pick potential coming out. Not really about that 1v1 at all. I'll be honest, I don't really know if this is something you need, but it's at this point in the game, with this amount of lead that EDG have, I guess it really wouldn't make any difference what mythic item Flandre would be going for.
That's a lot of lockdown on top of the already everyone in the team has lockdown,
a lot
right?
Of lockdown.
like Everfrost onto a Gragas. You have an Udyr with a stun. You have a Kiana with Supreme Display of Talent and can pick up the Ice Shard so that she gets another stun. Tristana with CC. Mako has the same. If you get locked down by... If you're one member on FPX, rather, and you get locked down, you're not getting out alive. So it just adds, I guess, insult to injury and also another lockdown to an already big prison made by EDG.
I guess it's also nicer as well, right? Because it brings more utility than something like the Night Harvester would. Your Rakan already has a Shirelia, so it kind of makes the most sense for the role that you are fulfilling. But we see different lane assignments coming out from EDG now with their bottom lane in mid-pressure and the Kiana in a side lane now, as we would expect. But still, for me, EDG's comp is all about waiting for that next dragon to come up. They have the pressure. They don't need to overforce anything. They could wait and look to play off FPX's mistakes as they just force in this mid-wave.
Because I was going to ask you a lot about how tempo manages here now that Herald's going to get a false charge towards the mid lane. And Herald's like, well, what did you do with the turret? We'll be coming in here for the inner as FPX group up themselves, excuse me. But EDG, a 5-man squad mid only versus 4. Nuguri ready for a flanking angle. But it's only the ward on the left side as teleport hasn't been burned yet. Disengage, but there's Nuguri. Left side here, Scream with the explosive cast, Scream's display of talent. Doesn't work though, and now Nuguri ready to jump on in, but it's the Prowler's Claw that gets Scout out as Nuguri just runs for his life. That fight dissembles before it's even begun.
Yeah, Prowler's Claw into the stun coming out for EDG onto Nuguri. That would have been a really nice showstopper coming out if they could have gone on the Scout.
Two-man body slam, though. Don't even need the ult if you're EDG. It's a double kill already for Viper as Nuguri has to use his ulti to try and save the play. Good damage coming out as he stride breakers into the middle of a Viper is zoned away as well. And LWX is a damage central. EDG at the 3 versus 3s. Mako goes back in. Almost dies, though, his Scout follows up. Viper's there. Rocket jump at the ready. And he's healed up there, Lyric. Nuguri and LWX want to get the heck out of there. This is clear EDG have advantage. Waiting in the brush. Viper's over anyway. Maker suicides. Nuguri gets him in the end. His Scout bursts the top laner. He guns it away, but Nuguri wins. And the fiesta for game number 1 is a sure thing.
And that was absolutely crazy hysterics. Honestly, it looks so good for EDG to start off with. They pick up 2 kills, but somehow FPX clawed back. Their team composition is really good into these front-to-back team fights because let's remember, there was no flanks or no angles coming in. It was just a Gragas body slam that you highlighted. Doonby and LWX largely remained untouched. They were able to take down the front line as well. And then EDG just get a little bit too ahead of themselves with 3 members chasing down. Ooh. Everfrost comes out.
There you go. There's the use. So if Viper got the pick, I think JJ was going in. But hey, Lyric, gold is, pretty relevant.
Oh my god. Are we doing it again, hysterics? Are we doing it again?
I was going to say, but it won't be if it goes back towards FPX's favor again. Third Dragon, if they can pick this up.
Look at all summoner spells, though. Flashes and heals, everything down on both sides. No ultimates available, really, either.
Explosive cast onto Tien, though. He uses the Stormbreaker down, but it's stolen. JJ just walks right in. While in the back of the pit, Mako's keeping them dismayed. Chris goes down. Scout on the flank. Supreme display of talent. It's all 4 of them. LWX was on the other side saying, bruh, what just happened? As Nuguri trying to bring the ambulance into it, but EDG say it's not for us as the lockdown comes through yet again, and Edward Gaming wiped them clean.
And EDG are showing up. I love that supreme display of talent coming out from Scout. Viper just able to free hit the whole fight, and it seems like JJ, after getting that spanking that he was given by Karsa in their match, like sure EDG won, but Karsa was stealing objectives left and right. Looks like JJ went practice his smites, and he is showing up today.
4 members on the Baron after what was a supreme display of skill from Scout. And EDG in game number 1, a 4K gold lead will balloon. The side lanes we talked about, Lyric, are going to be so easy now as well. This feels like EDG are building off the momentum that we saw against Top Esports the other day.
Yeah, it's just great to see, and I'm glad we're going to head into a replay because, actually we're getting the first fight where Viper actually finds some autos. Then a good W comes out from Doonby to kind of stop the advance, and it looks like it's actually Nuguri's showstopper that buys room for FPX to be able to come back into this fight. And then this is where it gets a bit dicey, right? Because I can understand why EDG keep pushing forward because you do have a numbers advantage after Doonby goes down, but you have no tanky members, you have no true frontline. Nuguri is still pretty beefy, right? We see EDG try to go in, Mako just gets popped immediately, and then you have a Kiana versus Set. The Set's going to be able to come out on top. He does end up hitting that Haymaker as well. The Conqueror came out, and he's dead.
He's dead.
He's dead. Yeah.
He's dead, Master Wayne. Yes, he is. Flash away from Viper. Look at the mid lane. LWX just goes in. Stormbringer to save the AD carry from getting hit by the turret, but there's the TP. Magnet Storm used, and we're right back into the action. LWX can't walk in. He's way too low as Mako's Rakan engage is good, but Tien still does so much damage. Viper's joined into play, though. Look at LWX. He's 1 hit away. And FPX paying the respect after winning a fight. We knew this was going to deliver, Lyric, and by God, has it started in that exact fashion.
Yep, coming out of replays, members are already dead. People going down on both sides. Somehow FPX come out with the advantage, though EDG, I think, should be able to take this turret, but nice W coming out from Doonby to zone and buy time for FPX.
Better run, though. Tien on the chase. And Mako and Viper managed to get away. Let's take stock of the situation. Been a lot of chaos with 22 kills in 22 minutes as mentioned, but it's still a 5K gold lead here for EDG. They have a dragon to their name that was stolen in about 17 plays ago. And we're actually going to watch what happened to Nuguri. It was a good flank from JJ. And Mako.
Yeah, ooh, you're right. Just comes around. Mako finds his way in as well. Mako, I think, has been having a really phenomenal game. He's been involved in 13 out of the 14 kills so far. And I think, EDG, commanding lead in this game. I think from all standpoints, from the position there now, they should be able to close this out. But I don't want to discount FPX for the fact that I do feel like EDG's damage will fall off against FPX later in this game. We already highlighted that they've triple frontline. They have a Victor, they have a Kaisa. They're facing an AP Gragas as well as a Assassin coming out in the mid lane who's building that lethality.
Thanks for the leash. Meanwhile, though, just further on your point, sorry to interrupt, that you're right, you know, that there is a lethality user in Scout, right? And I think we have to pay respect to FPX's damage. So if the chaos continues and if it's a bit more even, then we look at FPX through different lenses as the game progresses. Also with the Double Dragon as well, it's quite mentionable. Lyric, I want to point out some interesting itemization while we're in a bit of a lull state. We have a Serpent's Fang against, how many shield users there? 1, 2, 3. So a quite useful item if you Scout.
Yeah, and Scout actually goes this in almost every game he plays Qiyana in solo queue, even in some compositions where the enemy doesn't really have shields. So Scout having a high opinion of Serpent's Fang, maybe on the efficiency. There we go, hysterics. We're both looking for words, but you know, we're getting dragons up in 30 seconds. I think we should stop talking about efficiency as FPX are grouped just as they want to be, right? They're holding this 5-man formation. Tanks are in front. Nuguri is off, trying to look for an angle to maybe find a massive E into a showstopper. For the side of EDG, I like that they're controlling vision in the river. I think for them, they want to look for a really good angle for Scout to come in and get a massive Supreme display of talent.
Yeah, that big ulti that we've seen so far has been largely successful. Also note that Viper is a 3-item Tristana as JJ alone is handling the wave. LWX pokes him down, but there's no damage in this 2-1 and 7 Udyr, as Viper also has the range there too. Walking in, a bit of a happy accident there from FPX. While Dragon number 2 will be achieved. Scout waiting off on the side, and FPX are like, forget it. We either go Baron, we keep hitting mid, we're not getting anywhere near the pit.
Yeah, so they do respect, and you could note the angle that Scout was playing right. If FPX decide to walk in, trying to play that angle around Dragon. JJ looking for the engage, though.
Yes, he is. He goes in. Mako gets a 2-man knockup with the grand entrance as well. But look at Scout on the back end. There it is again. The talent from this man. But is he too deep? LWX shouts, yes, he is. As FPX have 5 versus 4 up for grabs. Viper's still a huge threat that can carry this. But FPX punish well when Scout goes way too far.
That's the thing, right? Hysterics. So the Supreme display of talent looked really cool, but it actually only ended up hitting 2 members. No one was able to follow up like you highlighted. Now having to use that Tristana ultimate defensively, and FPX are feeling good about this. They get a bit of pressure. They're going to probably look for recalls. They should be sitting on some gold as well. EDG not doing a great job of finding ways to transition their lead. And we need to remember, next Drake's up in 4 minutes. The following one 5 minutes after that. FPX have 2 Drakes. They're fine waiting this out and letting more items come out, because we saw the Supreme display of talent. Hey, again, you lock down 2 members. No one's able to follow up. The Qiyana by herself doesn't really have the burst to take down anyone other than maybe LWX. And now FPX go back to just controlling and answering side waves. Precisely, right? It is up to EDG to continue making proactive plays. It is up to FPX to sit back, trade, maybe even stall the game. So we're 26 minutes in, and let's be realistic, it is still EDG with a lot of control, but you can see how FPX can have their say in this game. And we have to also remember that LWX is 3 items strong. So it's not like FPX don't have any resources at all. LWX is showing that he can carry these fights, and he adds a lot of perspective himself, as TN has to run away from the 2-level over Udyr up in this top lane. And I think EDG, have to start transitioning into doing what they just tried to do, right? Where you're sending Scout to the side lane to match Doinby and try to get down vision and either catch people out in transit or force picks on the side. Because Scout doesn't have a TP. They can't try to find any TP flanks onto the back line. He needs to find creative angles coming around certain corridors to get on those members. But look at FPX. They're doing such a good job of staying together as this close-knit 5-man death ball, not allowing for anyone to penetrate that back line. And even more important, right, towards this mid lane, hard to get any terrain for Scout to use, as they're right in the middle of the lane for now. Nuguri's the one to clear out the wards. Crisp goes as well. EDG spotted out in their mini death brush, as we're just A-ramming a little bit longer. There's the explosive cast. JJ's like, nah, I'm not going in yet, bro. As, oh no, Nuguri on the side. Ooh, this actually could be okay. Lyric, so interrupt as we go for TN. Into JJ, there's the killer instinct. Scout goes to half health, but meanwhile on the backside, Chris almost dies there with the buster shot used in explosive charge. Viper's ulti is down, but so is LWX's. I think the most important thing to note in all this is I think this is going to keep going on.
Yeah.
EDG are posturing for this. Kiana's not here, though.
5v5 us in our red side. But thanks for the leash, Punk, and JJ runs yet again. One lead here for the jungler to note if they ever start the Baron. But it doesn't seem like we're going to be talking about that because we just go back towards mid and finally we calm down a little bit.
The thing is, FPX did such a good job of controlling vision on their flanks like you highlighted, right? We see the one ward on the right side of our screen in the blue side jungle. We saw the ward that Tian was engaging over next to the Raptor pit, and there was even one in that mid lane corridor in front of the Raptor pit, in front of the mid lane river brush as well. So any angle that Scout could have showed on, FPX had covered, and that's how we saw that like pseudo engage come out from FPX where they tried to turn on the Scout and Viper.
And I think it kind of shows, like, FPX's group, this is what they've been doing in playoffs as well. They've been very good at, I guess, countering the plans of their enemy. I think, Lyric, you can provide a bit more context on this. FPX have been an aggressive team, but also, I think, a very smart mid-game team as well.
There's one thing that I really like about FPX is that there's in certain circumstances where a death doesn't really matter, and if you can force an enemy into a certain position on the map and maybe get tempo on the opposite side, it is actually okay or even slightly beneficial to die in those positions, and that's something I think FPX actually understand very well.
Yeah, and a team that has been ramping up to this point. Remember, they lost Bo, they had Beichuan, and Tien pretty much came in solidly towards playoffs. Might have to pause that. It's 30 minutes in. FPX have a fast Baron that I guess EDG have to respect. They're going to start it up with full vision. EDG are a bit far away.
Yeah, they're trying to force this while EDG were playing down towards Dragon. We need to highlight that Viper is on 4 items. Does have the Guardian Angel.
And you're in a Baron pit against a Kiana. There's the chem take pop. JJ walking in. Scout over the wall. The Baron stolen. Oh, he does it. And the ult from Scout yet again. FPX walked into trouble, making it double for Scout to begin the fight. Nuguri into the backline, but he's already gone as Viper cleans that up. Scout in once again. Look at Do and Be alone. EDG take back what was theirs, which is this game number 1.
Yeah, EDG with the massive punish. I love that you highlighted. Grouping up in the Baron pit gives a really nice angle for Scout to come in with the Supreme Display of Talent. All the members are there. You have a ton of AoE on the side of EDG, and they are going to lock in with a 10k gold lead this game 1.
30-minute game here against FPX. FPX with a fast team, Lyric, but EDG showing that the old dynasty is very much alive. Game number 1, one step closer towards the finals, and it's EDG who take the first step.
I just love how we saw EDG played out, right? They lock in this Kiana, and again, you're not really going to be able to do much early 1v1 against the Victor. They understood their game plan perfectly. You see Jeje is constantly hovering in that mid lane brush. Chris made numerous roams towards the mid lane as well, and they started getting Kiana off to an early advantage to where then it's like, hey, Dragon's up, Rift Herald's up, let's invade the enemy jungle. It's all around the pressure that they're able to generate in the mid lane just by the fact that Doinby knows he has to play respectfully.
And the fact that, you know, JJ again plays towards a similar condition, right, where we know that he and Scout will often sync up. I think something important to note as well is that in the bottom lane, Viper showing again that he's world class. Like, the 1v1 actually meant quite a lot for the 80 carries. The LWX got the turret plating before Lyric, but Viper getting the solo kill started escalating from there.
I mean, that's the thing, right? He got his mythic first, was able to pick up that Kraken Slayer, and then they were extremely strong in skirmishes. They respected when they felt like they could push their gold lead further and get core items on key members, and they looked for fights when they knew the time was right. FPX did get a bit ahead of themselves in the end with that Baron Force. I think I can understand where they're coming from, though. They do not only have a lot of damage, they also know that Dragon's about to come up, and EDG are setting up and playing around that win condition, and they also have a great turn. You think about it, right? They have a set, they have a volley bear, they have a rel. They have a great ability to turn on EDG if they walk too close. The problem is EDG just didn't give them that opportunity, and EDG engaged first.
They did. And with the CC we talked about, right? We talked about the Everfrost of the Gragas being, I guess, over the mark. What's the best way to describe this?
I think it made sense, but I think the word you're looking for is overkill. But in this situation, right, I think it really was the best mythic he could have gone for. But like you said, CC upon CC upon CC for the side of EDG.
Exactly my point, right? Where, you know, you get caught out. One member of FPX, as we saw time and time again, and EDG take that advantage. They go further. I think really nice props to FPX, who were able to keep the going for as long as they did. And we could see a world where they could come back, but the team fighting again, the Baron Pit Scouts Oyster, is just something we've talked about in many different games where EDG, you know, great team fighters, whether they're the best or not, that's up for contention, but they're definitely cemented to the league as one of the best 5v5s and at least playing with creative angles like Scout did there.
No, again, like props to EDG. I think talking on FPX aside for a second.
Please.
I feel like they felt too pressured to make that play when we highlighted, hey, EDG's damage will fall off later in the game. Yeah. You have all these tanks. We even saw how much Doomby was able to do with the amount of zone control he provides with that W. LWX was actually racking up items like you stated and getting into a pretty good spot as well. I feel like FPX just got a bit too ahead of themselves when they didn't necessarily need to. Again, I can empathize and understand the decision they were making, but maybe just hold that off for another like 5 minutes. Do that when fourth dragon is spawning, and you know Victor and Kai'Sa have more key items.
When you have the game in the palm of your hands towards those dragon objectives, right? Considering they hit the first 2 dragons, they denied EDG that 100% first dragon percentage that they hit up in playoffs as well. But Lyric, I do feel like looking at the quality of this series so far, I'm very excited. Not a dish at any of the other teams, but FPX EDG so far, game 1 has definitely delivered. We're hoping to bring those mechanics after the break, ladies and gentlemen. We apologize for the Twitch stream there, but hopefully everything will be going strong as ever going into game number 2 right after the break.
Keep himself safe, and the rest of the team now arriving at the fray. Zip goes down as Nuguri is on the chase. He's charging along with his flaming sword. He wants to cut them to size. I don't think he can close the gap. In they go with the Gale Force to take them down. Forge on 1 HP, but he's crit to fall. And a reheal. He doesn't have that unbreakable will. He already used it, and he's taken down for the triple.
God damn, I love the new FPX. Should and will are 2 very, very different words. As you can see,